you support Trump?
I do.
Oh, why so?
Yeah, definitely abortions and the border policies.
Okay. What specifically? What border policies?
The no tolerance.
No tolerance. What about it?
I earlier you were saying that they shouldn't be called illegal aliens, which I get it. You know, that's kind of dehumanizing, but they are committing crimes by crossing here illegally. I understand wanting a better life, but there are ways to do. I I recently met a dude from Kenya, and he went through all the things, and he was saying the exact same thing. People coming over here. He said the back door is what he said. Thought it was hilarious. But yeah, no. If you want to come over here, that's perfectly fine with me. Like I want people to come here and experience the greatness that is America, but you have to do it the right
Yeah, what I'm saying is it takes too long right now. So there isn't particularly a right way that actually makes sense. So what I'm saying is that anyone who's in the country who hasn't committed violent crime or bad crime, deporting them isn't like going to help the country. It doesn't make the country safer. It doesn't make the country better. It actually makes the country worse.
way. How does it make it worse?
It makes the country worse specifically because it decreases the size of the economy. It hurts our cultural norms specifically because it is the case that it's inhumane treatment of people who have come to the country and violates specifically one of the foundational elements of this country, immigration, in the very base of itself. And also, it would continue, right, there to be more undocumented people in the country because it is the case that you didn't provide people who are already in the country who are undocumented a pathway to citizenship specifically, right? So people are going to choose to be undocumented and continue to be undocumented because it is the case that they can't go through the legal process quick enough because you didn't fix the overall system. So not only do you need to give people mass amnesty, but then you also need to make the system go safe, make the system safer and faster.
I agree. No, that's true. It definitely does need to be a better system, 100%. And do I believe that it's, hard to get into America? 100%. Also, like the tests that you have to do to become a citizen, most Americans don't even know. I do agree with that, 110%. But at the same time, if you break a law, there are consequences, and that's the only reason why I agree with it, right? If
You
I break
break
a
the law,
law,
there are consequences. You're currently right now on an app that's been banned by the federal government, and the only reason you're able to use it right now is because it's not being enforced by the Trump administration.
so there was, yes, that is true, 100%. I agree. Um, but I also don't believe in banning free speech, and that's
Exactly my
something that,
point. Exactly my point. So
yeah,
you don't think that it's a justified law to ban the app, and that's why you're totally okay with it being on the app, right? That's exactly my point.
yeah,
Does that
no,
make
I get
sense?
it. Yeah, because a lot of people do come on TikTok to express free speech and have a good time. I'll sit here for hours scrolling and laughing because, people post things that I enjoy, right? And so I believe that there should be a complete and total ban? No, but you know, it is a Chinese app, and there are documents saying that they were selling information, and I don't believe that's
It's not about selling data.
right.
We already had a thing specifically for the data to be stored in the United States under like servers here
Well, I
under
understand,
the
but
control of Oracle. That's currently how it's working right now.
yeah, but like if we have our citizens' information, that's one thing. But if another enemy country does, that's different.
What do you mean enemy country? Like we have full control over that data.
How if another country has it?
Also, I just want to let you know, all of that data is already being sold to them anyway,
Yeah, that's true. My data's out there because I've gotten
because of American
spam and scam.
businesses that sell it to them. So are you going to
Yeah,
stop
that's true.
American businesses from selling it to them?
If I could, I would.
Well, that's not what
Am I
Donald Trump's
am I
advocating
saying
for, clearly.
and do I believe in everything Trump says? No, but I still support him because there are things that I agree with, and no president's going to be perfect. And I do see a lot that, oh, Felon's your president. That's true. He's done some questionable things, 100%. Do I believe that he got out of it, without all of the what's it called, all of the consequences that he should have had? 100%. But that's just the problem with the rich. That happens. But I also don't believe that that we should uh, you know put super high taxes on the rich because a lot of times the rich create jobs for the poor. But
The
that's
rich
neither
create
here nor
jobs.
there.
No, what creates jobs is the demand, and then they follow through
Well,
with
I
the demand
understand,
because
but
they
if you
can make
have
money from it.
I understand, but if you completely tax the rich, well, they're not going to want to go and try to create jobs because it makes it harder.
Not
But
true.
that's
If they
not.
don't, someone else will. That's how the market works.
And yeah, but if you just completely, make it harder, if you make it harder to be rich, no one's going to want to go and try it and be rich.
Really?
Does that make sense?
Really? Because, I mean, people are already doing it. And also, you're not making it harder to be rich. How are you making it harder to be rich?
If you just put crazy taxes on.
What crazy taxes?
That's what I'm saying. There's not any crazy. That's
Are you saying a 50% tax rate would be crazy?
Yes, a
Why?
50% tax is crazy
Why?
because I don't believe 50% of our
If
paycheck
you're
could go in.
making $10 million a year, what's wrong with paying 5 million of that in taxes?
The fact that you're getting, almost all of your half of your paycheck is gone. Granted, you still have $5 million, but what's the point of trying and
Half your paycheck's
going
gone.
and
What's the
earning
point of
10?
trying so that you can make more money? Actually, here's my question. After you make fucking $5 million in a year, what's the point of trying?
What do you
After
mean?
you
No,
made
that
$5 million.
you go and try to make 10 million, but now you only have 5 million
Oh,
because 50% tax.
okay. So
That's that only
wouldn't
makes
you
sense.
even be incentivized harder so that you can make even more money?
It's just, I mean, I guess you could say that, but it's just
Oh, okay. So it creates actually more of an incentive because they're greedy anyway, right? And it is the case that they're trying to make a bunch of money anyway. And in that effort to make a bunch of money, we're just able to tax them. If you
okay.
want to make hundreds of millions of dollars, we are going to tax that. And that's just the
And
reality of
granted,
things because you want
but
to know what? You
you
want to know what? We want people to have healthcare. We want people to have childcare. We want people to have housing affordability. We don't want people that don't have a basis in our society because we didn't care about them, because we weren't compassionate, because we didn't provide the basic set of social necessities that everyone within this country relies on and needs. And we live in the richest country in the history of the world. For you to sit here and tell me that we don't have the capacity to easily care about the basic necessities of every American is laughable. It's actually
no, I never
laughable.
said that.
You care more about Donald Trump doing massive tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires than you care about him providing basic set of social services for people who are homeless in this country, for people that don't have health care in this country, for people that can't afford their rent in this country. How about any of those people specifically that are going to have less benefits because Donald Trump's policies are cutting Medicaid and food stamps so that
Well,
people are
then
going to have
go and
less food on their children's table, so that they'll have to go to bed, right, without food in their stomach because Donald Trump decided to cut food stamps so they can give massive tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires so they can go out and buy more yachts, so they can make more money for themselves, so they can hoard
okay,
more
but why
wealth to
don't you go and
themselves while everyone else, right, is in a state where they can't afford health care or childcare. They're living paycheck to paycheck.
go and make more money?
Oh, just
You
go make
even
more
said it.
money. Just get a
Yeah,
job. Just go make more money. How about you say that to the people specifically who have to pay a little bit of higher tax rate so that we can fund these social services? Just go make more money. How about you say that
that's
to
it.
them? How about you stop saying that to the family of four that wants to put food on their table and that relies on food stamps because they can't afford that, and you tell that to the people who have multiple yachts that are paying multiple millions of dollars in taxes because they made tens of millions of dollars. How about you tell them to go make more money and stop worrying about the extra millions that they had to pay in taxes when there are people out there that can't put food on the table, that can't pay for healthcare bills, the medical
Yeah,
bills?
that was my family. That was literally my family.
Exactly.
But guess
Wait.
what?
So
But
why
guess what
would you
happened?
want to hurt
No,
your
they win.
family? What the is
No,
wrong with you? To give
no,
tax
guess
breaks
what
to
happened?
millionaires and billionaires that aren't you. That don't know what it's like to not be able to pay for medical bills. What are you talking about? They, even if you tax them, will never have to worry about that in their life. And that's the point.
Well,
We want to create a
but that's the
baseline for
thing.
everyone so
I
they
don't want to
never have
sit
to
here
worry
and
about that.
I don't want to sit here and rely on a government. I don't like because why would you sit here? That's literally the basis of
Did you go to
socialism and
public school?
communism.
Did you go to public school?
I did.
Oh, so you relied on the government. Do you use
Hmm.
public roads? Oh, so you
Yeah.
relied on the government.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Saying
So it's almost
saying
like
public
you
school
can
and rules.
rely on those
No.
specific
Saying
aspects of from the government, and it's completely and totally okay. If something happened and you needed to call the police, would you rely on the government? Absolutely, you'd rely on the government. So don't act like to me right now that you relying on the government isn't something you can do or that you don't do in your life. You absolutely rely on the government. You rely on society. That's why we live in society and we don't live in the middle of nowhere where there's no one else in the middle of the woods in the wild where there's no one else because we want to live outside of the context of society. No, we want to live in society, and if you want to live in society, we have things that we have to take care of. We have obligations. That's how society functions. Okay, if you don't want to live in society, go live in the middle of the woods. Okay, go live by yourself. No one's asking you. No one's asking you to live with the rest of society. Go do that. Do your thing. But if you're gonna live in society, we have obligations. People need healthcare and childcare and housing affordability, and people need basic necessities. And in the living again in the richest country in the history of the world, we should clearly be able to do that. And if you're pro America, if you're America first, isn't it America first to pay for the healthcare bills and medical bills of people who can't afford them? Isn't it America first to like put food on the table of children that whose parents couldn't afford it through the context of food stamps, or like expand Medicare, or like expand Social Security? You know, those types of things, those social services to like have compassion for our like fellow community members. That's not socialism. That's being a fucking basic human being. That's still under a capitalist framework. That's called being humane. That's called caring about people around you. That's all it is. And we
Yeah,
can still do
you
that
can
within a capitalist framework. So there are
you
certain
can care
elements of the
about
capitalist
people,
framework that we'll deny, but there are certain aspects of the capitalist framework we'll still use.
and you did make some good points. I agree that, but I'm not saying that roads and hospitals and stuff and the police, that's not us relying on the government. Our government should, give those things for us, yeah, but I'm
That's
talking
you relying
about
on the
just
government. That is
straight up giving
absolutely
money.
you relying on the government.
No, I'm saying just completely giving money. Like the
Okay,
food stamps and
how
all
about
that,
this?
that's great, but that's not permanent. That
Push the
shouldn't be a
cover.
permanent
Thank you.
fix.
Wait, and
So
oftentimes
what
it's
what
not.
it should be,
Oftentimes it's not. It helps people get off of food stamps in the long run.
yeah, agreed. Do I think that food stamps should be done away with? No. But what I'm saying
Well, you
is
wanted to
that
cut it. You know, Donald Trump through the big beautiful bill is going to cut it by 300 billion over the next 10 years.
yeah, and I said earlier I don't agree with everything that Trump does.
Yeah, but these are the
And
inevitable
what I and what
reality
I
of the
and what I
policies you
wanted to
support,
talk
of the
about was the
candidate you
border and
support.
abortion.
Okay, but you can't say you're pro-life if you don't care about them when they're outside of the womb.
I'm pro-life. Have you ever watched an abortion?
No.
Like then you definitely should. I'm not saying to like go and go to a hospital and watch it, but there's videos of the
Have you ever been forced to go through a pregnancy?
no,
Okay. So then, like,
I'm a male.
okay, so if you want to talk about having an experience before you can say something.
No, what I'm saying is the fact that they want to talk about, oh, these, they're just cells, they're just, that's not true. They're human lives, and and it is murder.
Why?
Why it why is me shooting someone murder? That was your
Because
argument.
they're
What do you mean?
sentient. They have a first person subjective experience, past or present and future subjective experience, and they're a human being. They're a person. Okay? Zygotes are not people. Embryos are not people because they are not sentient. They have not met that set of criteria. So it
But
totally
but how
makes
do you
sense to
how do you
me.
know they're not how do you know they're not sentient? Because I've watched
Neuroscientists.
a YouTube video. I've watched a YouTube video of an abortion, and it is very obvious that baby in there is feeling pain.
Wait, so again, we're talking about a subjective experience, and that doesn't happen around until the 20 to 24 weeks. That's determined by neuroscientists.
And there's still abortions after the 20 to 24 weeks.
So people aren't just like going around having lethal abortions after that point, right? For elective purposes, right? After that point, it's for medical reasons. After that point, it's to save someone's life.
I understand, but that's not always the case.
Oh,
I agree on
practically
abortions
in every circumstances.
in cases of all the things that are terrible. But if you truly don't want to have a kid, then don't have sex. Like
Don't have sex.
that's
If you don't want to have a kid, don't have sex. Telling people not to have sex is not a way to get them to not have abortions. Ridiculous statement. Okay? I'm still going to have sex. I'm still going to do it. And you're still going to cry about it.
I'm not crying about it. I
Well, you
just have my
clearly are.
beliefs
You're on
and
a
you have
live right
yours.
now saying if you don't want to have a kid right away when you are a 20-year-old, 23-year-old, or however old you are, that you shouldn't have sex. Like, dude, come
Yeah,
on.
that's my belief.
Okay,
I
apply that to yourself,
you
buddy.
know
Don't apply that to everyone else.
I'm not trying to apply it. I'm just saying, like, if look, if you truly have a problem with having a kid, there are things that you can do to prevent that.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, there are things you can do to prevent, but if it inevitably ends up happening because those particular pathways didn't work, well, then I think you should still be able to get access to an abortion.
And you know, I'm very happy that you have your own opinion.
And I'm very happy
Uh,
that you are responding.
I'm just saying that you have, you know, I think it's great that you have your opinions. You know, I've expressed mine, you've expressed yours. That's, you know, that's what a debate goes. And then now about, you know, the border policies.
Do you just want to not acknowledge what I just said? You can't respond.
Oh, I'm not George. I don't need validation.
What do you mean?
As in, you know, you said thank you for responding. That's what I'm here doing.
Yeah, you didn't respond.
To what?
What were we just talking about, bro?
The the abortions. You made a point that I cannot dispute because there's no point in trying to dispute something that you are 110% stuck on. Yeah, so let's move on because we've both given our opinions and
You don't want to,
I've
and you
given
didn't want to
my,
respond to it. He just didn't. He couldn't do it.
yeah, because I don't have a response to it.
Okay.
There are going to be arguments
No
that I cannot
response.
make to
Okay.
certain
Interesting.
points.
Okay. Name a single policy of Donald Trump's economic policy of Donald Trump's that you like.
To be completely honest, can't give one. I'm going to the military. So,
I just want to let you know. So you're going to go into the military. Do you want to send yourself to war?
if yeah, that's what it takes, then yeah, I want to serve my country
Okay. So you consider serving your country, going to Iran to fight a war for what purpose?
to defend Israel.
Israel first?
No,
I have a question.
I put God first.
I
God is
well,
Israel's God's
I
country.
have a question. I have a question. Do you have an issue with the United States defending Ukraine?
I have an issue with sending troops there.
But you don't have an issue with like sending troops to defend Israel? Why?
One, it's
You
two
don't
different
care about
countries.
being one of those troops.
What are you talking about? I will be one of those troops. I'd rather go and fight for Israel because Israel is God's country, and Ukraine is not. That's my personal.
What the fuck? What do you mean? You want to go fight for Israel against Iran for a war that they started against Iran?
How did they start it? Explain that to me.
Who attacked first?
You tell me because I'm going way back to when Israel was started. Because
Israel.
Israel's been under
Israel attacked
oppression
Iran
for
first.
thousands of years.
Israel attacked Iran first.
Israel has been under oppression for thousands of years. And
No, it's diabolical that you're not addressing the point. Not so Iran specifically, right, was bombed first by Israel. Okay? We're talking about the conflict that's happening right now. Okay? Do
mhm,
you agree that
yeah,
Israel started the conflict that's happening right now?
right now, yeah, sure.
Okay. So why would you defend Israel on their offensive conflict? That doesn't make any sense.
Because I don't, it's not so much as defending Israel, and I know that I said that before, and hold on. It's also more of I don't believe Iran should have nuclear weapons.
So, okay, so the okay, so I have a question. Do you believe the war in Iraq was justified?
No, I believe we played right into the hands of the 9/11 attacks.
So, so then you don't, okay, you don't think it was justified to go invade the Middle East because of quote unquote weapons of mass destruction?
Oh no, the whole Afghani war was literally just our president got uh, upset and
So
you know
so
wanted to keep
again to
another country.
clarify, you don't support going to war in the Middle East because of weapons of mass destruction.
I do, but this isn't trying to be a retaliation. for a terrorist attack.
So to clarify, you do support going to war in the Middle East because of claims of weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
So would you have gone to war in the early 2000s because the Bush administration claimed that there were weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East?
It's a little different because he claimed that because he wanted a reason to go and fight because he was mad about.
Okay. Does that change whether or not Donald Trump's looking for reasons as well? Or
What
that
reason did he give other than
Israel's looking for reasons?
Israel's looking for reasons to attack Iran?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they probably are.
What is this conversation?
What do you mean? What is this conversation?
Have you learned anything from this convo real quick?
Yeah, I've learned that my blind trust in just trying to defend Israel probably isn't the greatest because I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't know that Israel, um shot first. Didn't. I just knew that that is what um Trump said, "Hey, we're gonna defend Israel," and in my mind, hey, Israel's God's country, so that's what we're gonna do. So yeah, my blind trust in it is probably not the greatest.
Yeah, and couldn't people also use the name of God to do atrocious and despicable things? So you have to be very clear with whether or not they're actually like upholding that.
I mean, yeah, you can use God's name, but it even says in the Bible, hey, just because someone claims to be doing my works doesn't mean that that's what it is.
Isn't that kind of the point you could apply here, though?
That that Israel is God's country, so it's um so they're using that they're God's country to as a reason to bomb another country. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like that's literally like the reason that you're using now in support of them, and that's the reason some people
Well,
use
no,
now.
I'm
It's
not.
not
I'm
now.
not
It's not
saying.
the overall justification, right? That's always provided by every Zionist, but some do.
No, I'm not. I don't agree with just using God's name as something to start a war. But what I do believe Israel should stand as a country.
You believe they should what?
I believe Israel should stand as a country.
Okay, so you mean like Israel's the right to exist? I have a question. Um,
Yeah.
do you believe ethnostates should have a right to exist?
You'd have to tell me those.
Like, are you saying Israel has the right to exist as a Jewish ethnostate that maintains a legally mandated majority Jewish population? Is that what you're arguing, or are you saying that Israel has a right to exist as a secular nation, just named Israel, but as a secular democratic nation that doesn't particularly instill right um a like an apartheid state or like a like a majority Jewish population like has to uphold that?
I mean, it's a Jewish country. If that's what they if that's what the humans want to do with it, then that's fine. Like that's their prerogative. I'm not Israeli,
Wait,
nor am I Jewish.
so to clarify, you think ethnostates are totally cool?
And that's just and you're saying that those are countries that mandate
Yeah, they mandate
a
certain
certain
ethnic
population.
population. Yeah.
Um, sure, but if it goes
I
to
have a question then. Would you be okay with certain
yeah,
European countries forcing their country to be a certain ethnic population?
no,
You don't disagree with that?
no, as in I don't agree with that, and I know
Oh,
what you're
you
referring
don't
to.
agree
You're
with that.
referring to you're referring to Germany, Nazi Germany, correct?
That could be an example you refer to.
Yeah, yeah, no, that Nazi Germany was going and trying to conquer all of Europe and eventually the entire world and make them all one superior race. Right. Israel isn't going around and killing everybody that's not Jewish because they're that one person over the 50%. as you're saying.
Okay, so I mean, Israel is mass murdering Palestinians, right? Like literally mass murdering and genociding Palestinians. That's a fact of reality.
Terrorists.
Palestinians are not terrorists. That's gross for you to say. I'm actually gonna kick him for that. That's so disgusting. I just referenced the fact that they're mass murdering Palestinians, and he just assumes Palestinians to be terrorists. Is so gross.